So my name is Gonzalo Lebrija. I am a contemporary artist. My work is a multidisciplinary work. I work with different mediums. I work with photography, film, sculpture, painting, and installation. I live in Guadalajara, and this is where I work. I think for me the most important part of art is language. So I don't trust any medium in particular. I like to work with different mediums because they are tools that allow you to develop your language. So the line of my work, it's about language. It's about the language that I talk about, this suspension of time and this contrast between power and vulnerability, and it reflects the same soul in all of the works. That's for me what is important. So I don't look up to build the style in a certain particular aesthetic way that have to be with formal shapes of forms. It's more about working with the language, no? And for me, each kind of work, even though if it's photography, if it's a sculpture, or if it's painting, or it just add a new page to the book and trying to write over the years. Okay, so this work is called Brief History of Time. It all comes from a photograph that I did in 2008, a couple of years ago, where I throw a car into a lake and I shoot it with a high-speed camera to get the frame where the car barely touches the water before crashing into it. And once I had that image in my mind, I thought that it would be a good idea to make a replica out of it in 3 dimensions. So turning into life size and using a real car as a sculptor, put it in a vertical way, make a pound with black water to make the reflection, and to see how this kind of gravity vertigo that I had in the photograph, and you can feel it in the photograph, it can be also shown to experience it in a 3-dimensional way. So I've been playing with this idea of time suspension. I've worked with paper airplanes, which has been also part of my process. The way I use these paper airplanes, which it turns out at the end that I just unfold these paper airplanes in large formats to kind of paint with light and shadow, and then I turn them into tableaus, like golden tableaus, like leaf tableaus. And it's this idea of the unfolded paper airplane. You know, what happens when you unfold a paper plane and you just have like these traits of memory out of a very simple and childish object. And I think it can reflect some powerful ideas about the present human condition. The process of installation is very complex in terms of it's a real car. We took, of course, all the engine out, and we adapted with a structure inside to be attached in the floor. Right? As you can see in the images, the process of putting it up was a little bit complicated. Used 2 cranes and to build a pound of water, and then attach to it, and then fill it up with water and place the black color in the water, you know, to get the reflection. For me, this work, I pretend to open a dialogue with the public, as it's a public sculpture. I think public sculptors have to have the responsibility to open up questions, so you can allow people to think about what the work is about. Besides my ideas, The cars I use for these sculptures are muscle cars. They're American cars between the ends of the 60s and the 70s. It's the cars I more like, and I think they are meaningful to this idea of works, because these cars, they were like post-war cars, which they were made with this kind of a sense of freeness. But also, like here in Oklahoma, I like this idea that this avenue was it's called the Automobile Alley, where you have all these plants of cars where they assembled cars. And so I think, and at the same time, they all disappear. And there's only one in the corner, Tesla, no, which is the only vehicles that are electric, right? So, you know, we're talking about really like the end of an era. And so to place an automobile in this shape, in this angle, it talks about it, no? And I think it gives sense to some kind of homage to the past, you know, and where we come from. I have a photograph of a lasso, which is also that I've been working with the idea of the charros, which is the Mexican sport. Charreria is the Mexican cowboys. So the lasso that I am presenting here, it's a lasso that it's sort of dancing by itself. So I raised the charro who was maneuvering it, and I just let the trace of the lasso, which becomes this kind of a drawing, but at the same time a sculpture, but it's a photograph, and it also talks about this idea of time, you know, well, I think it's a very nice and interesting thing that there is an exhibition from a geographical point like Guadalajara in Oklahoma, from a province to another province, and to show the energy and the local production into this context, I think is very exciting. As I think in Guadalajara, the art in Guadalajara it's becoming each time more important. There is a big community rising up with a lot of energy, and so yeah, it is very exciting to show these ideas into a different context, no? And try to explain around the idea of arts, objects, photos, sculptures, a little bit of our cultural identity. I think Guadalajara is also a very traditional city, therefore I think art movements have always been movements of resistance, and in the other half, we have incredible labor hand, which allowed us to produce the works with different mediums and to work aside with professionals in very different materials. Besides that, also, it's a place where you can find a big studio for not a big amount of money. So that also makes it very interesting, not to see the studios in Guadalajara, and it's well known also because people, when they go, the artists like to open up their studios, you know, and do events in their studios, which is also very exciting to see the context where the artist works, you know, and explore all his ideas. Well, I think the social issues are always implied or applied in the work, because I always explain it this way, that the art is kind of like a sponge, and it absorbs the water, and as dirty as the water is, when you squeeze it, the water becomes more dark, right? So I think this is a natural way, the way I see it. In my case, I don't think in social issues when I work. I think I work more on the idea of existential ideas, and I think the social part of it, or the political part of it, just come in a second layer, which is always there. You know, you cannot avoid it, and you cannot escape from it, because it's really part of the context. I don't like to set up directions of what I expect people to see. I like to for me this artwork, especially when I work in public, in the public domain, I expect to make their own version of the work, you know, to create their own story. And this is for me much more interesting to know what the stories behind in each mind. You know? Each mind have a different potential and perception, and I think that it's the part that makes the artwork works.